when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and the scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor, and that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him. And when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come to the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed unto their own country another way. Chapter 2 of the gospel recorded by St. Matthew, verse 2, my text in particular, and verse 4, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? And in verse 4, and when they had gathered all the chief priests and the scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. I want to use as my subject tonight, searching for him. Searching for him. Somebody asked me the other day, Reverend, why don't you wear a wedding band? Why don't you wear a wedding band? I was looking for my wedding band one day and discovered it was on my finger. I wear eyeglasses, and one day I was looking for my eyeglasses. I turned my office upside down, looking for my eyeglasses. They were on top of my head. You ever been searching for anything? You ever been at a place that you couldn't find what you were looking for? And you had to search and search and search to try and find it. Well, it's been quiet for 400 years. And nobody has seen the promise of God fulfilled. God promised way back in the 3rd chapter of Genesis that he was going to send one that would bruise the head of the serpent. Where is he? Isaiah said, and a child shall be born, and a son will be given, and his name shall be called, and nobody's seen him yet. Where is that Jesus? that they've been looking for. Where is he? Searching for him. You know, there's something within us as human beings that drives us to keep on searching for fulfillment. There's an empty place on the inside of us, Brother Davis, and that empty place, we're always trying to find the answer, trying to find the answer. But it's a story as old as Adam. Because men and women, boys and girls have been looking ever since the voice of God came walking in the garden in the cool of the evening, and God asked the question, Adam, where are you? Some of us are searching for companionship and fulfillment in worldly powers, in worldly positions, in possessions. And more of us in possessions than you could ever shake a stick at. Some of us look in the bottles and vials of mind-altering substances and alcohol. Some of us look in academic degrees and mental exercise. And some of us try muscle building as a way to try to become all that we can be and to be fulfilled. But I've come to remind you that when you've tried all of that, you will discover that there's still an emptiness within you if you have not yet found God, found Jesus, found the Son of God, found the answer to all of your problems. So we go on searching, and we search here and we search there, and the people of God sought God for years. And throughout the Old Testament, they were always looking for God. They looked in the sacrifices, they looked in the offering, they looked in birds, they looked in bulls, and looked in ways that are like a bed that's too narrow, or like a cover that's too short. Because God had promised them relief. But now the heavens have been quiet for 400 years, and their dreams, their hopes, their expectations, Sister Houston, have not yet been fulfilled. So we go on searching here and there, and finally, the wise man looked up in the sky and they saw a star like they had never seen before. It was a unique star. It was a different star. It was different than the morning star. It was different than the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper. It was a unique star, and they saw it. And finally, when that star appeared, the book says that the wise men decided they were going to follow it to find their fulfillment. Glory. I don't know if you've ever tried it, my sister, my brother, but you ought to keep on searching until you see the star. And then, like the choir said, follow the star. Follow the star. So they followed it from the east. And they ask as they travel, where is he that is born King of the Jews? And 2 or 3 things that you and I ought to learn from this. And I want to recommend 2 or 3 things to you tonight. The first thing I want to recommend is that the wise men are always willing to invest time and resources until they find the master. Wise men are. Wise men. And I'm not talking about wise men from the east, but I'm talking about wise men and women, boys and girls in Salt Lake. They're willing to invest everything that they have until they find the answer. Until they find the answer. And so they were interested. They invested time and resource. They gathered their gifts, their gold and their frankincense and their myrrh. They traveled for not just days, but months and weeks and months trying to find Jesus. Earl, how do I know they traveled for not just days? How do I know they traveled weeks and months and perhaps even years in order to find Jesus? How do I know that, Brother Larry? I know that because the book said that when the shepherds found Jesus, they found the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes and laying in a manger in a stable. When the shepherds found it. But by the time the wise men found him, he was a little child, not a baby, but a little child, a little child, not in a stable, in a house. You ever stop to think about it? It took they had to invest some time. They had to take off from their jobs, if they had jobs. They had to leave their families behind. They invested time and they took with them gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They dropped whatever they were doing in order to travel afar. They journeyed for some time and they came from the east all the way to Jerusalem. All the way to Jerusalem. That would be like going from New York all the way to Salt Lake or Alaska or maybe Hawaii or perhaps Southeast Asia. But they traveled afar. They came from the east all the way. And while they were traveling, they were searching as they followed the star. It took them a while to get there. But what do you do when it takes you a while to get there? You don't give up. You don't quit. You don't decide that's enough. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she asked me for my advice about how to deal with a problem that she was having. And I said to her, sister, I think you ought to do such and such a thing. She said, I tried that. I said, but you quit. You quit trying it. And that's a lot of us. A lot of us, we tried for a little while. But when a little while is past, we give up on it and we lay it aside. But not these wise men. They followed the star night and day and night and day. And even when Herod called them in and asked them to report, when they first saw the star, they went in and reported to Herod, and as soon as they were done, Karen, they went on back outside and looked up a second time, and lo and behold, Brother Thornton, there's the star again. They kept on searching. When Herod tried to sidetrack them, they kept looking. They kept on hunting, searching. And when they lost sight of the star, they kept on hoping. Let me say that one more time. As long as they could, they followed and watched the star. But when the star was no longer visible, they kept on hoping. And that's what I've come to tell you tonight. Listen, just because the clouds are heavy, just because in between you and yonder, where the stars are, is some fog and smog. Just because there's problems between here and there, there's no reason to give up and quit. Keep on. You can't see the star, but keep on hoping.
Glory, glory.
Keep on expecting. That's why our theme is a church of great expectations, because we are determined that we're going to keep on expecting and hoping and dreaming and imagining and visualizing.
Yes, say it. Listen.
Oh, my sisters, my brothers, when the lost star, when you lose sight of the star, keep on hoping. Some of them searched for what they could do, what could be done for them. But others searched for what they could do themselves. Does it ever strike you strange that the wise men didn't come looking for anything from Jesus? They brought something to him. Oh, I think I ought to say that just one more time. They didn't come asking for gold. They weren't looking for myrrh. They weren't requesting a bottle full of frankincense. They brought gold. They brought frankincense. They brought myrrh. President Kennedy raised the question. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And listen, my sister, my brother, you all quit asking all the time, God, what are you going to do for me next? What are you going to do? What are you going? When are you going to? Quit asking all. You ask God, what can I do for you? Every now and then you ought to ask your fellow believer, not that they will give you something, but what can you give to them? They kept on searching. They kept on searching. And the wise men brought gifts, and all they wanted in return was an opportunity to worship. Herod searched for Christ himself. But his searching was not for what he could do for Christ, but what Christ could do for him. His idea was, Ryan, if I find out where he is, I'll go kill him. I'm going to keep my throne. And I'm not going to let some upstart take my place. You might say Herod came looking for an endorsement. I was blown away the other day. I saw all these ministers on television, and the report was black ministers endorse Mr. Trump. I was blown away. Black ministers and black pastors, I think it was pastor, endorsed Mr. Trump. Blew me away. I looked at him and I said, I don't know him. Ain't never seen him. His name is not familiar. I've never heard of him. I don't know the church that he's pastor of. I don't know them all. I don't know any one of them. But Mr. Trump was so busy looking for an endorsement that he accepted anything that came his way. The wise men were searching, but they were searching for joy. Herod searched for anxiety. Herod searched out of anxiety. Herod searched because he was worried. Herod was searching for Jesus because he wanted to find him and shut him down. And can I be bold tonight and remind you that when people come to church, some of them come looking for joy, looking for salvation, looking for an opportunity to be rightly related to God. A whole bunch of them come, though. Come to try to shut the church down.
Mercy.
The shepherds left their sheep and rushed into town to go see this thing that had come to pass. The angels left heaven and came down and stood over where the place was where Jesus was, and they sang in celebration. And can I help somebody? Can I help you? Anybody in here need any help tonight with this business of searching for Jesus? Can I help you a little bit? When you search for the Lord diligently and with all that you got, you will find him and you will always go back home a different way. I think I ought to try to help you just a little bit better. If you search for him with everything you got, you give it all you got. You give it all you got. You make the sacrifice. You put forth every effort. You gather all the stuff that you can gather. You put forth. You just give it everything you got. When you search for him with all diligently, you'll find him. And when you find him, then you can go back home a different direction. You can't find, Sister Johnson, you cannot find the Lord and go back home the same way. I know. You're thinking about State Street or Main, or 215 or 15. I'm not talking about that kind of way. What I'm talking about is the condition of you and your heart, your soul, your mind. You start to think different, act different, walk different. You cannot search for the master and find him and go back home the same way. You won't have that hatred that you brought with you. You got to leave it. That malice that weights you down, you can't carry it once you meet Jesus.
Listen now, listen.
You got to go back home a different way. And so the wise men came and they looked for Jesus, and Herod said to him, when you find him, bring me word again. And in the midst of the night, in the middle of their dream, they were warned by God to go back home, but go a different way. I have a lot of fun with my oldest daughter's mother. I have a lot of fun with her because she always wants to know, why are you going this way? The best way home is to go this way, she said to me. And I always remind, I don't go the same way. Somebody may be looking for me. Yeah. Amen. And if you go the same way, people can track you. Don't go the same way. Find Jesus and head on back home. But head back home a different way. Herod had asked him to find Jesus and to bring him word where he was. So instead of going back to the east through Jerusalem, the text says they departed to their own country another way.
Glory.
Psalms 9 and verse 10 sums up all of what I'm trying to say. 9 verse 10, Psalms 9 verse 10. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hath not forsaken them that seek you. Can I read that one more time? And I'm reading, by the way. And they, or quoting, Psalms 9, verse 10. You got your Bibles? Open your Bibles. Get the one in the pew if you don't have one. Chapter 9, verse 10, Psalms, right in the middle of your Bible. Open it so you can read it, and then listen to what it said. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hath not forsaken them. Which them? Them that seek thee. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. And so the wise men were in the east, and they heard that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, and they caught a star and followed it. And although interrupted by Herod with his conniving, scheming methods, they kept on searching and never lost hope. And ultimately, they found the young lad in a house, and they opened their treasures and gave to him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And when it was all said and done, they determined to go back home another way.
Glory, glory.
We gathered here about the Lord's table tonight, and you ought not eat of this table the same old way you eat steak and eggs. If your mind's on chitlins and greens, you ought not come to this table. If your menu is sweet potato pie and pound cake or red velvet cake, this is not the place. If red Kool-Aid and ginger ale or eggnog or any other kind of nog is your drink of preference, it's not on this table. Come and find the Lord. Search diligently for him. And when you have searched diligently, you will find him. And when you find him, then head on back home another way.
Amen. Amen. Glory.
I ought to go on preaching, but I got to quit.
All right.
I've got to quit because I want you to search for the Lord. Search for him. Search for him. I can't find him. Search for him. You never will find him if you search just for a while and quit. David said it best in Psalms 23. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, Brother Booker, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies, Sister Harris. Thou anointed my head with oil, and my cup runs over. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life.
Glory, glory.
And that's not for me to end. And then after the days of my life, this is the way you ought to read that last verse. Shall follow me all the days of my life. And after the days of my life, oh, Lord, I feel like shouting myself about now. surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life and after my life. And I shall dwell in the house because I found them. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Glory, glory.
Bless us now, O God, to search until we find you. And when we find you, to go back home. Another direction. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
The GPS system is available. Turn it on and type in kingdom address and use as the zip code 111. And then set that